Hello, my name is Kat, and I am a special guest today, I guess, as part of the recap for Point of Order. First things first, let me address my prepubescent voice right now.
It sounds great. It sounds
Yeah,
great.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Very
very much.
throaty.
I am on day 2 of a 4-day conference in the beautiful Orlando, Florida. And I, for some reason, have completely lost my voice. So I promise to do most of the asking and let Tom do most of the answering as we kind of go through the point of order recap. So Tom is joined also by our DM extraordinaire, Raj. Tom, tell us a little bit more about your character.
Oh my gosh, my character Hror Embermane. Honestly, he's a blade singer wizard. I really wanted to play a wizard because I have only played pseudo, like no magic characters a little bit. Definitely saw some builds online and thought, oh, this could be fun. And then I like the idea of playing a ridiculous race, hence a bugbear, which they're supposed to be scary, I think, and kind of chaotic evil. Raj, help me out here, because again, I've only been around D&D not that long, and you have were born into it, I think.
Yeah,
So I like this idea of a bugbear that's actually kind of friendly.
no, I think it's really funny because I think the bugbear has this kind of, I don't know, this monster under the bed kind of mystique to it. And I think you're turning it into this sort of warm, cuddly fellow is has a little bit of
Who
a
likes to
of
stab
a
things, right?
yeah, who likes to, yeah, to be fair, likes to stab things. Is a variation on the theme, which I think is really cool.
Right. I can't remember, Raj, too, if who came up. Did I ask to be in a resistance? I actually had a different backstory. I should look. And you went, ooh, actually, there is this, we decided when we want to do this thing, let's do this in some sort of civil war or battle or stuff going on. And so clearly I was going to pick a side. I didn't think, I was going to go on the Imperial side of things, because I mean, I watched Star Wars growing up and the rebels are always the good guys. And so yeah, clearly a rebel, but we haven't really explored that too much.
Yeah, I think we'll get into that a little bit more in the story, but I think that was the intent, right? I think there was some, if I remember correctly, I think you were trying to join, you wanted to be part of some faction or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, here's the backdrop of the world, right? Here are some of the factions that exist. You've got this resistance group that's fighting against these neo-imperialists. Like that could be a good way for you to kind of segue into the backstory, right?
Yeah. Is Neo anything ever good? The Neo Imperialists, the Neo
Neo
cons. I don't know.
Neo from the Matrix?
Right. Yeah, sure, sure.
Sure.
Let's not forget, though, in every battle, everybody thinks that their side is the good side.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
That's a very
Right?
But there
sage
are
point.
there are absolute right of rules. I don't know. I don't think Rory thinks in absolutes too much right now. Kind of. No. He grew up with bugbears and goblins and stuff. I think he's very happy with gray moral areas. Yeah.
My favorite part of his whole statement is I was seeing a lot of different characters online, and I thought, oh, this will be fun. Famous last words.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how this unfolds for you. Okay, so Rory, let's dig into him a little bit more
Uh-huh.
because I like where we were going with the backstory and kind of choosing between the two sides. Um, Tell me a little bit more about him as a character. If you were going to pick, like, what is his ultimate driver, what is his motivation, help us a little bit understand why he is where he is, and what kind of courses through his mind as he makes the decisions that we counter in these sessions.
Yeah, he started again. I'm going on like a lot of the backstory that we set up, and then you really do figure out a character as you interact with other people and keep going. And then the resistance is fighting against this neo imperialist, against the Dragonborn, and so in my head it was like he doesn't like the Dragonborn whatsoever, which is why Raj dangling merciless in front of us at the beginning, me going, okay, this is great. I've got clearly a nemesis I can kind of needle and poke. Yeah, but then we meet Sidonius, and for God's sakes, you get a Dragonborn there. Of course, I'm immediately skeptical because Rory doesn't like this. I mean, he's in this zone of freedom of nobody, no one race should be in control. That's the ultimate push. But it's, again, he's a weird character because blade singers in D&D generally is like an elvish art. Raj was like, hey man, how does a bugbear learn this stuff? Which is why Rory has this elven teacher, which is where this has come from. Clearly a big part of the resistance. I can't remember what episode I think it's 6 actually. We actually, get into, who that is a little bit, but we haven't really gotten into it just yet. And so, I'm still sort of figuring out, did he fall into this? Did he really study it? Right? Like, he's a wizard. He's a bugbear. That's weird. Clearly he had some aptitude. He got kicked out. He got adopted the resistance. And so they were nice to him. And so he's on their side. Maybe. I don't know if it's much deeper than that just yet. I feel like we need to come to some hard decisions to find out how far he really will stick to that.
Tom, I'm picking up some derivative notes within your character's backstory. Do I detect a twin sister in your future at some point?
A twin sister? Yeah, eventually. No, that's in the other campaign, Kat. That's in the other one.
How many campaigns? You know how hard it is to date 2 people at the same time, Tom, let alone do 2 D&D sessions at once?
It's a lot. For anyone listening, 2 campaigns at once is a lot. I'm a compulsive note taker, and I genuinely have to look through notes. And actually, the helpful thing about recording campaigns is that you can get them transcribed and then ask summaries of them in ChatGPT or LLMs or anything, and that's extremely helpful.
It's probably even harder when both campaigns are with the same
DM,
people.
same world technically. And then here's the thing, Kat. We did do a deep dive on Scarlet, your character, your flashback, which took place in this campaign with characters that Raj voices. And so that was the weird mix that I absolutely died of laughter because Raj didn't tell us and sprung this on us, and it blew my mind.
I
So
don't understand like what you guys are complaining about with the 2 campaign thing. I feel like I have something to complain about trying to maintain the 2 storylines, 2 groups of PCs, both who like to go off the rails and do whatever the F they want to do.
This has got to be
think I need a
partly
little
your fault a little bit on off the rails. You dangle 19 threads. I'm going to draw a map one day of like, here are all the things that you have. I mean, to be fair, I understand it. There are, I don't even know how many characters in this one and how many in the other campaign, and you're dealing with giving everyone motivations and backstories. It's pretty wild.
I will 100% admit I dug the hole and I jumped into it and I left the shovel, at the top.
It's so fun though, man.
So this is a really great tangent that you brought us up onto, Tom. So the audience isn't familiar with the other campaign that we have, but they are familiar with the premise and the setting for Point of Order.
Right.
So Cordis, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. Raj, tell us about the world of Cordis and kind of the inception and how you play a lot with the visuals and the geography and the landscape, and everything is just being part and inherent of the people that live there and the culture that's there, as well as the characters and what they interact with, right, absorb when they're in that area. So tell us a little bit more about the city and kind of your inspiration for it.
And how long it took you to come up with this. It's crazy, man.
So, I mean, maybe just like zooming out a little bit, like this is a world I've been kind of playing around in for about 20 some odd years now. And it started off, it started off as just like, hey, I'm going to craft like my own sort of little campaign area for people to play in, right? Some homebrew thing. And then I'll move on to the next campaign. It'll be some other area. And I was like, oh, these 2 things could be related by such and such thread or whatever, right? And then it's like you make a third and it's like, oh, what if these 3 areas were all kind of like, adjacent to each other? And then, it's fun for the players when it's like you start adventuring in the area that your previous adventuring party had been adventuring in, and like you start to draw threads there and stuff like that. But, I think what I really ended up creating was a world, or wanted to create was a world in which like the whole thing is just marked by devastation, calamity, and people are like kind of picking up the remnants of civilization after this, series of events. Like, and the primary, like the impetus for Anaral, the world, is that this used to be the playground of the gods, right? They used to like come down to this world and settle their differences in ungentlemanly and unladylike ways, and it left like terrible scars like on the land, right? Like you see like the Crag Claw Mountains, and like we've talked a little bit about the Great Divide. Haven't really, explored that area yet, and like these massive sort of geographical features. And so the town of Cordis is just like one of these little remnants of civilization that's just kind of trying to scratch a living off the rock, right? And just make it in the aftermath of this whole thing. And so, you know, so many inspirations for where Cordis came from, right? Like just like movies, books about people living in cliff sides and in deep in gorges and stuff like that. But like I wanted to also make it a little bit like make the citizenry like a little bit more enterprising than like than just like your typical sort of ne'er-do-wells who are just like barbarian types. Like they've made something out of it. They created a lift, and they have like these animals, and they have like a little town, and so it's a little bit different, right?
You still haven't read Oathbringer book 3, Brandon Sanderson, which is impressive because the city of Rathalos, or however you pronounce it, is the city in the Rift, and we can't get into that. But when this happened, I was like, oh, Raj. Oh, but you haven't read the book.
I have not. I'm still on book 2. But a lot of great inspiration from that one too.
Yeah. Kat, I just have to call. Raj is setting this up for us. I realize now that 20 years of building makes sense while he can do all this sort of stuff. But Raj, I still want art of Pending Judgment and of the Cragclaw Mountains and of this whole, like the map. It's gorgeous in my head.
I would love to see that at some point. I am not an artist. If anyone watching is and would be willing to take on a commission of some kind, I'm totally down. But yeah, we should definitely get some art together.
Tom, you have actually played a prepubescent boy in the
Ernest
campaigns before. How am I doing? Am I getting pretty close?
It's pretty good. The real question is like, how is your relationship with your parents? Are they awesome? Do you live with them? Yeah.
For the rest of my life. Come on now.
Yeah, I wish.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the party. Nothing I love more than talking shit about other people when they're not around. So let's go into these characters, or maybe the players, if we're gonna hit below the belt. Why not?
Sure.
So tell me about the group dynamic, and then I'm going to start getting into the real questions.
Yeah, I mean, so what? 4 of us, and when we started, we just had like, here are our characters. We didn't do a lot of, we went, okay, let's probably know each other a little bit, be familiar, so we don't have to go through a period of distrust. But we didn't know who would be the leader or anything. I mean, this just ended up being the introduction, and Raj running with Smiles being the charismatic bard. So why wouldn't he be the talker? So Smiles, played by Tyler, College of Eloquence bard, lowest persuasion rolls a 19 at level 3. Is absurd. It's just absolute as a changeling. It's just
a little frustrating as a DM. So when the lowest persuasion is a 19, but
like if you're a good DM, so you can get around that. This happened when I played a College of Eloquence bard, and Jeremy just got around it. He's just too smart to have me just try and persuade around the whole time, right? Yeah, too much. Yeah. So Smiles, who is our talker, and that works out. Paul, who plays Valfire, this little dwarf, this little moon druid dwarf. Is he a dwarf?
Halfling. He's a halfling. Yeah.
He's a halfling. But the druid who likes to wild shape and grunts a lot, and refuses to talk about his backstory. We need to get him drunk in real life and in the game to make that happen.
Real life shouldn't be hard.
Right. Here's what I should back up, Kat. We decided when we set this up, we rolled for stats, right? Like, your ability scores and stuff. And then we decided it'd be funny to take one really bad stat in something. And so Hror's got a 6 or an 8 in charisma, or in wisdom. So he just is 0 perceptive. Like my passive perception, he doesn't hear anything. He doesn't notice anything. That's who he is. Lucius.
So he's like you when you're dating?
Yeah.
Got it.
Forgiving women. That's what I look for. No, but Lucius is a 4 in charisma, and Mike plays it so well. This bird that thinks people like him, and he is outward and charismatic, and it's really it was magic from the beginning, because he plays not obnoxious, but funny obnoxious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head because it's like there's a way to play a bad stat by just being awful at something, right? But he plays it in a way where it's like he thinks he's so good at it, his character, but then it's like it just comes off so poorly. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. So the first episode, he pours water in, he refills, they're like, buy us a
Yes.
drink, and he just pours crappy water into their drinks.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, and it's amazing. And that's Mike
Yeah.
on the fly running with it. Oh, I have a 7 wisdom score. 7. It's terrible.
I mean, life imitates art.
It's true. Like, I wanted to play the dumbest smart person in the world, right? Hror's MO is you can do that. Like, let's do it. I'm not going to figure out if it's a good idea or not, but I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going for.
Manifest destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We do that a lot too in sales, right? It's like all about charisma, like 90% how you say it.
Just push it. Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's I'm curious because it's only been a few episodes that have been streamed now, but already, do you have a sense of the character dynamics? Like who is the weakest link?
Ooh, Raj, I need help on this. Who's the weakest link?
You are on your own, buddy. I am impartial referee. That is one of the roles of DM. I'm gonna play the impartial referee card here.
Fair. It's hard. I feel like early monks aren't that powerful so much. I mean, I'm looking relative to our party, right? I have played Song. I've got Shield. I mean, I'm at points where unless you hit me with a natural 20, you can't hit me almost, right? And can handle some absorb elements. We're all kind of like beefy in terms of hit points.
I'm sorry, you lost me at beefy.
Beefy, yeah, I'm a beefy bugbear, like he's a wizard, but he's got some hit points. He's not like wet paper or anything. Paul plays a druid who frequently wild shapes, and so he's got an extra huge set of hit points and can take some beating. We just don't have a lot of healing. And Smiles is weak, but he's a bard, so he's good at everything, and he can heal from a distance, and he always like hangs out farther away. And so I mean, Lucius does great, but also monks just like don't stun as often as they should.
I hear a lot of very
I'm leaving that
political
off I'm not
responses,
putting myself on there, right? Yeah, I feel like I'm powerful.
Okay, well, I guess we'll come back to this question in a few episodes and see if you change your tune. Who would you say should not be underestimated?
Ooh, who shouldn't be underestimated? I mean, of the 4 of us here, I mean, I want to say me. I really do. A wizard can do anything with magic, and I've got a sword as well. And I feel like once I get a couple more levels, Raj, we need to level up, by the way. I can really, really put some hurt on because I can give myself advantage. Our critical hit rules are savage. It's not the usual double the dice. It is max out the damage and then roll your dice on top of it. And so there are some spells along with double attack, which comes from Blade Singer at level 5, that I can just really, really put some hurt on once I set up a couple rounds, so long as I can survive. Ooh, yeah, I can't wait for level 5 because that's usually when you get fireball and big stuff. And I'm just going to be using insane attacks because Rory doesn't understand magic enough and likes to stab things.
So is it pretty fair to say that most of these characters have a lot of maturing to go through as characters?
Raj, this one's for you because you have to put a 30,000-foot view on 10,000-foot view, and set up challenges for us.
Yeah, I mean, 30,000 feet doesn't even reach to the top of pending judgment, so maybe it's higher than that. I think part of any
It's that large.
great.
Go ahead.
It's like 8 miles. It's like 8
Oh my
miles
God.
long.
Yeah, true.
It's
But like
huge,
I didn't know how tall, but long, sure. Okay.
Yeah. It's at an angle, so maybe it's high. It's high.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think every great D&D campaign, story, whatever you want to call it, has like some maturation built into it, right? Where there's character growth through like either story elements or some inner like realization or some interaction with the world, something like that. But I also think like player growth is really important too, right? I mean, you spend time learning about your character, and you know, everybody says like you spend like the first like 10-20 sessions or whatever just trying to figure out who your character is and what they would do in certain situations. And a large part of it is the story helping to define that, right? And the instances that you go through, the events that you go through, helping to define that. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of maturation left. I think
Oh yeah.
all the characters have come up with a really great backstory that allows for that growth, right? There's so much room. There's a really high ceiling on all the characters, and you know, not just in terms of like the damage and stuff, but in terms of like the ability to kind of like grow and become a different person, or maybe an offshoot of the same person, right? I think there's a lot there that that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Well, and Revelations too, right? Like there's some violent paths that, you know, people are covering over, and I just know if we dig into Smiles or Lucius, there's some bad stuff in the past, and they're about peace. And yeah, right. Yeah, right.
I think something's going to change for them pretty soon.
Oh, there we go. A little hint of foreshadowing. All right, DM, peel that onion. Okay, so I mean, I've taken away a lot, and hopefully our audiences too. This is great. Thank you, Tom, for kind of walking us through the characters, your character in particular, and then also Raj for kind of describing the scene of Cordis, as well as kind of your your vision for you know, how these characters will continue to mature as they overcome the hurdles in their path. So the two other takeaways that I would say I really heard was there is the jury's out on who is the weakest link right now. Tom is unwilling to
No, I mean, if you're
cast
gonna
any
be gun
shadow
to
of a
the
doubt on
head, gun to the
himself.
head, it's probably it's maybe it's Lucius, but he's still strong. Like I think it's a strong party. There's
That would
solid players, right? Who
okay.
can get around stuff. But I don't know, right? I feel like Smiles can get
Well, this
away.
brings me to my second. This brings me to my second realization from this conversation is everyone is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can take some hits. So, Raj, I myself, and I'm sure the audience are going to be very excited for you to throw everything at this party. Make them cry, especially Tyler, Mr. Smiles,
Yeah.
because I just think that the irony writes itself on that one. And hey, you know, in the process, we'll get a lot of laughs out of it. Maybe we'll get some tears out of it, and it'll allow for a lot of character growth. So everybody wins.
I think I think you're doing a little bit of foreshadowing. We've had some pretty intense moments that will be revealed pretty soon, but I think you both know me as a DM. I don't shy away from the tough encounters, right?
No, you do not. No,
and
you do not.
so
I've
we'll
died how many times? I've lost count. I can't count up two hands anymore.
yeah, there've been a lot of instances.
Okay, all right, settle down,
But a lot of
Raj.
growth, a lot of growth, a lot of growth
A
too,
lot of
right?
growth. Scarlet has grown. Scarlet has
A lot of
grown.
aging. I don't know if
Right.
it's a lot of growth.
Here's what I want to know. So your character Scarlet Underwood in campaign Prime, I want to get this reaction because I could watch it right here. How upset are you that when Raj drops that there is a shop called Underwood's, none of us put it together?
What?
Whole episode.
Nobody?
And then yeah, no. I mean, and then actually the next episode he kept dropping it, and then I think at that point I'd figured it out, and I had to be like, guys.
Oh, okay. Tyler,
She's
I could
pissed.
maybe understand.
Yeah.
Mike, I can also potentially excuse that, but Paul has been there since day one. He knows Scarlet Underwood. He should have put that together. Was he like? Did he
a
not?
lot of seltzer waters, like a lot of seltzer waters.
All right. Well, oh my gosh,
it's a bit
insulting.
embarrassing. It's a bit embarrassing, but it is incredible that I didn't know that Scarlet was from Cordis. Okay, so.
Well, I don't think anyone technically knew.
Okay.
But the whole point was that the name of the store Underwoods should have should have been.
It
an
was one
inkling.
fleeting mention, and then the next episode we figure out there's a background, and it used to be owned by this parents, and then the twins left. And
So
it
wait,
just kept
did
it going.
Raj's
And
face
Raj just
go
kept
like,
going.
It was
He
called
just-
Underwoods.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then
Did I mention
nothing?
it was Underwoods? Did I mention Underwoods?
And again, because
Huh.
I'm so dumb, I went Lord of the Rings. I was like, Underhill? Is that what are you making a joke referencing? Great. I got the joke, Raj.
Semi, Swanson, Swanson?
Swanson,
Check the
Samsonite.
luggage. Samsonite. I was let
Samsonite,
off.
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was that moment.
This is the eternal problem of the DM, who is infinitely wise and intelligent in the DM's world, and the players are infinitely ignorant of everything going on, right? It's like having total knowledge is just, I just shouldn't assume.
Nope.
Yeah. Never, but the nice thing though, Raj, is you understand, you never mistake malice for stupidity, which is
True.
really used to,
True.
which is very relevant in our case.
Oh, I know. I recognize the malice for sure. I shouldn't assume the stupidity either.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, Raj, help us recap when we can expect the next episode of Point of Order.
Mhm.
Every Wednesday night at 8:00 on Twitch. Point of Order D&D is our channel, and then also the same night, the previous episode from the previous week will go up on YouTube on our same channel, Point of Order D&D.
Sounds great. All right. Well, please tune in at those times, and hopefully we'll be seeing you again on these recap episodes shortly. Hopefully with a full voice this time.
Mhm.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, Kat.
Thanks, Kat.